Have you ever heard the phrase cost a pretty penny and wondered what it means? Let me share a funny story that might sound familiar. Imagine your friend asks you to buy them an expensive new gadget. You say, "Sure, but that's going to cost a pretty penny." And your friend replies, "What do you mean? Is it made of gold or something?" Oops! That's not quite what cost a pretty penny means. The idiom actually refers to something that is very expensive, not literally made of precious metals. Let's say your friend wants to buy a luxury sports car. You might say, "That sports car is going to cost a pretty penny," meaning it's going to be very costly. Here are some examples of how you can use cost a pretty penny in different contexts. In casual conversation, "That new laptop really cost a pretty penny, but it's worth it." In a formal setting, "The renovation of our office building cost a pretty penny, but it has significantly improved our workspace." In a negative context, "The medical bills after my accident really cost a pretty penny, and I'm still trying to pay them off." In a humorous context, "My wedding dress cost a pretty penny, but at least I looked like $1,000,000. In a literary context, "The antique vase he purchased at the auction cost a pretty penny, but it was a rare find." In a business setting, "The new marketing campaign we launched cost a pretty penny, but it has significantly increased our sales." On social media, "My new designer shoes cost a pretty penny, but they're worth it for the Instagram likes." To help you remember the meaning of cost a pretty penny, think of a shiny, expensive-looking coin. The pretty refers to the coin's attractive appearance, and the penny represents a substantial amount of money. The origin of this idiom is somewhat unclear, but it's believed to date back to at least the 18th century. Back then, a pretty penny could indeed refer to a significant sum. One theory connects it to the practice of clipping silver coins, where the pretty ones, undamaged and full weight, were worth more. Some similar idioms include "cost an arm and a leg" and "cost a fortune." On the other hand, "a steal," "a bargain," and "a steal of a deal" are opposite expressions that suggest something is inexpensive. For example, you could say, "That new car cost a pretty penny, but it's worth every cent." Or you could rephrase it as, "That new car was very expensive, but it's worth the investment." I once had a student who used "cost a pretty penny" in a job interview when discussing the cost of a project they had worked on. The hiring manager understood the idiom and appreciated the student's clear and concise communication. One common mistake is using "cost a pretty penny" with the wrong preposition. Like saying "cost in a pretty penny" instead of "cost a pretty penny." Another mistake is thinking the idiom refers to the literal appearance of the penny, rather than the monetary value. Now, let's test your understanding of "cost a pretty penny" with a few questions. 1. Which of the following would most likely cost a pretty penny? A. A loaf of bread. B. A designer handbag. C. A cup of tea. D. A paperback novel. 2. If someone says, "That watch cost me a pretty penny," what do they mean? A. It was very cheap. B. It was very expensive. C. It was free. D. It was borrowed. In summary, "cost a pretty penny" is a useful idiom that can help you express the idea of something being very expensive. By understanding its meaning, origin, and proper usage, You can improve your English communication skills and sound more natural when discussing the cost of things. Now, I'd love to hear from you. Have you ever used the idiom "cost a pretty penny" in a conversation? Share your experience in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more English idiom lessons.